Hi, this is Ed Bremner from the IMPACT project with a quick screencast showing you the IMPACT Storage Estimator in use. This estimator was put together by IMPACT staff at the BSB in Munich to help other institutes who are putting together digitisation projects to get an idea of how much storage they would require in their project. The IMPACT Storage Estimator has been put together in an Excel spreadsheet and is easily downloadable from the IMPACT Centre of Competence website. It's important to remember that it is only a model and therefore is only as accurate as the information that you can input into it. And as time goes on and you learn more about your project, it is quite likely that this information will change. So therefore it will be necessary for you to return again and again and put in the new information. Okay, so let's see the IMPACT Storage Estimator in use. You'll see on the left-hand side of the screen there are some dark green cells, and the dark green cells are those that must be filled by the user to give the information for the tool to work out what the storage is that is required by your project. And over in the middle and over to the right there are light green cells. The light green cells are being used to actually take optional information to allow you to create more detail for derivative files that might be made, or OCR files, or other data that is being created by your project that you can add to the master files. Okay, making the storage estimator work is really easy. We just have to fill out these green boxes on the left-hand side, and the first and most important of those is simply to put in how many master files we intend on creating. This is most probably going to match the number of pages in the books that you want. So in this case I'm going to go for a demonstration, and we'll put in 100,000. For the file format, we have a choice of different formats that can be used for this master file, but I'm going to choose what we would always recommend as a standard for the master file, which is the TIFF. We also have the option of using with TIFF certain compressions, and these can be clicked on and added here. But my recommendation is always to not use any compression on TIFF files because it slows down their opening terribly. So we're going to leave that off, and therefore the compression rate is 1, so in other words there's no change, and that all stays the same size. Now in terms of the resolution, I'm going to suggest that in this case we're going to go for 300 pixels per inch. You might want something higher than that, or if it's for a binary image, but that's a good estimate in this case. The bit depth actually gives you an estimate of how many colours that are being used here. So for an example, 1 bit would just give you black or white. 8 bits gives you 256 different greys or colours, and 24 is 8 bits per channel. 8 bits are red, 8 bits are green, 8 bits are blue, and therefore gives us true colour of 16.7 million. So I'm going to put in 24 for that, for full 8-bit per channel colour. The next 3 cells are to do with the size of the actual images you're going to take, and first of all we need to put in at the bottom here the unit of measurement, and I'm going to use inches. And then on top of those we can choose what the image height and width is. So I'm going to say that we're using a folio format, say like a newspaper, and use 15 for the height and 12 for the width. And you'll see that as soon as I've now filled out these figures, that it's given me an estimate of the storage in kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes and terabytes. And even if we go down to the bottom, you'll see that it's actually also giving an estimate of how many CDs, DVDs or linear tape that we need to actually store them. Okay, so that's given us an estimate for the storage that we need for our master files. But of course that isn't all the storage that we'll require. Within our workflow we are also making derivative files after the image optimization, and these might be in the form of optimized master files, or they might be further files for surrogate files for delivery on the web or for print use or whatever. There could be a range of them. This estimator gives the ability to track 2 of those, and we can put in some figures for the derivative files that we're using for OCR and derivative files for web. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the same figure with the presumption that we're using every one of those, and we'll put in the same for the derivative files. for web. And the difference here, of course, is we won't need to use the TIFF files for this. So I'm going to put in for the derivative files, we'll say these are black and white newspapers, and therefore we only need some GIF files, and we'll go for GIF grayscale and put that in there. But let's say for the website, we did capture these originally in colour, and we want them to look as good as they can in the colour, and they've got some old markings on the paper and things. So we're going to go to use a JPEG, and we're going to use JPEG colour for that. So we'll put in JPEG colour. We don't need to put a figure in for the TIFF compression method because neither of these file formats that we used are TIFF. And you'll see from this that this is now showing us what the size of the images are in comparison. And we can actually look at that and see whether we think that's worthwhile. We might decide there that since that is not a lot of compression, to actually go for JPEG grayscale and see that that's given a much larger amount of compression. The resolution, we're going to keep that at much the same for the files for the OCR, but the resolution for the files for web, which actually is not very relevant because it's not used by the website, but we'll put that in by a browser as 72, and we can now put in the color depth as 24-bit for the 8-bit for that, and 24-bit for the web images. The image height we can now deliver as pixels, and for the OCR we're going to keep them quite big. So I'm going to put in we're estimating on this, so 3000 by roughly 2000. And we can say that for the web images these don't need to be nearly so big, so we're going to estimate on these at 12, and these are in pixels. And you'll see now that we've already got results coming down here at the bottom of what the storage for these actually will be. The last one that we can add some information for is for the OCR result files, and again we can put these in at 100 and choose what kind of file format they'll be in. So we're going to choose in this case that we'll leave them as non-formatted text, and then we can put in, we know that this is, we said they were going to be a newspaper, didn't we? So let's say an average newspaper, and this will give the figure there. We can put in, let's read what it says on that. So if available, so we can't estimate at the moment, I'm not sure of that. So then that's giving us another size there. So now all of those figures can be added up and added to the total required storage, which gives us an overall figure of about 4.5 terabytes of storage needed for our estimate. If you're going to save this, which is always a good idea, or to print it out, you can use this bottom box on the right here to actually enter some information about this estimate. And really, that is all there is to it. So come back as you need to, as you have new estimates. You can use it again, or if, as we did earlier, you think that the size of file could be, you want to see what the difference in storage is using different file formats, then put in the different figures, and that will tell you what you require. Okay, that's a quick overview of the IMPACT Storage Estimator, but the best way to get to know it is to download it and have a look at it yourself. So it's easily downloadable from the IMPACT website, and if you have any feedback that you'd like to give us about the tool or about other tools you would like, please leave that as well on the following URL. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.